Moving on to the Los Angeles Kings. 44 wins and 38 losses. 12th power play with a 22.6% success rate. Who's in? Well, Warren Fogley, who we just spoke about, Tanner Janot, Joel Edmondson, and Darcy Quemper. Who's out? Pierre-Luc Dubois in that massive contract. Matt Roy, Victor Arvidsson, and Cam Talbot. They essentially traded pieces here, Edmonton and LA. Player tiers. Tier 1, nobody. Tier 2, 80 to 90 points, nobody. Tier 3, 70 to 79 points, we have Adrian Kempe. Fair?
Yes. I just think I don't think LA is as good as people think they are. I think Kopitar will take a step back. But it all depends who. You see, Kopitar will take a slow step back, but you're hoping Byfield will take a step forward or 2 steps forward. So I think Kempe will still be in that range. I don't think he'll hit the 75 points. I think he'll be more of a 65 to low 70s.
So tier 4 potentially.
I think tier 4, high tier 4 would be my guess on Adrian Kempe.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, he hit 80 points once, 80-point pace once, in his career. And that was last year. Before that, he was usually on a 57 to 60-something point pace. He's a very good player. I think if he continues power play one time, which he has, he got a lot of points on the power play last year. He got 27 points on the power play last year, 20 the year before that, 16 the year before that, 14 the year before. Like he seems to have been progressing on the power play more and more. Los Angeles currently has Kempe on the same line as Kopitar, and I think that's been pretty much the case. Especially Daily Faceoff is saying that Byfield, Kopitar, and Kempe are going to be together. I actually feel Byfield is going to get the second line center role this year.
That's what I feel too.
I think Kempe is what he is. He's not going to get better. He is 27 years old. He's in his prime, and he's going to be a 70 point to 79, let's say, tier player.
28 goals, 47 assists last year. The year before, 41 goals. The year prior to that, 35. I think he's a 30-goal scorer. His shooting percentage dropped 5% last year. He got more assists than he did goals. If the power play could stay as efficient as they were, like we said, they were ranked 12th in the league, if not get better with Byfield progressing, I think he could hit that 70-point mark.
All right. I think that's fair for Kempe.
Moving on to Kevin Fiala, who we also have ranked in the 70 to 79-point mark. Where do we feel about this? LA is known for a team that doesn't score much, yet here we are ranking a couple of players in 70 to 79, or at least I am. What do we make of Kevin Fiala here?
I mean, look, Fiala has the last 3 years been on a point pace of 85, 86, and 73. This is a player that I think has a lot of talent, to my chagrin, because Jamie owns him. Listener Jamie, if you're listening, I don't like you. But the fact is that he is a player that has... he could be a 30-goal scorer. I mean, that's the way I see him. He shoots a lot. 262 shots on net 3 years ago, 208 2 years ago, 225 last year. His shooting percentage is always around that 12-point mark, right? 12%. So I like him as a good player. I don't know if he's going to progress more than he is right now. 28 years old, he's in his prime. I think he is who he is. A player that could hit possibly 30 goals and 70 points. 75 points.
Yeah, I feel he lives on the power play. Like last year, he got 30 points on the power play out of the 73. So I don't think that will change. I just think his points might go a little higher just because I do feel like you were saying that Byfield will be the number 2 centerman on this team. So if we're expecting a progression from Byfield, then Fiala will just hop on that progression with him. So he could be an 80 points. He could be an 80-point player, but it all depends on the progression Byfield's going to make this year.
Talking about somebody that used to be an 80-point player,
Talk to me.
Anze Kopitar, 36 years old.
Love that player.
Don't
Don't
he's
love his
not what he
age.
used to be.
Don't love his age, but love that player.
He's not what he used to be, but 71-point pace last year is nothing to sneeze at.
Well, look, I think until he stops producing at that rate, you kind of have to assume he's going to hit it. We talk about it almost weekly now. That we always expect the Boston Bruins to take a dip, and they never dip. We always expect Bergeron and Marchand to dip. They never dip. Like, I think I was reluctant to put him to 70, 79 points, but I just couldn't help myself and say, look, he's going to be half a year older. Does that really make a difference? Maybe a little bit, but until I see it, I won't believe it. So for me, he's still a 70-point guy.
It's because you haven't hit 35 yet.
I did hit 35 yet. I did hit. I had 35.
All right, our last tier 4 player. We kind of spoken about him already, but I don't know if you guys want anything to add about Quinton Byfield. He's in our 60 to 69 point range for this year.
Yeah, I think that's the progression you want him to make this year. Especially, I feel he'll take. I don't believe Kopitar can keep on playing 20-minute per games, 20-minute game like minutes per game. So I feel Byfield will get some of that time, and in his progression, getting more comfortable playing in the NHL, using his body, filling out. I think he can easily become. Especially for next year in that point range.
I think it'll be a disappointment if he doesn't pace for 60 points.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, absolutely. He had 56-point pace last year. He actually got 55. So we're talking about a player that should be hitting that. I mean, he's about to hit his 200 games played.
Yeah.
So Dauber says it all the time. 200 game plays is one of the tiers that he sees people really progress. So I think 65 points is definitely in the cards for Byfield next year. Second line center with Fiala there.
That would be nice.
Yeah, that's what I think. All right, power play guys. Drew Doughty, guys, he's still around.
Still around.
Still around.
Still a 40-point defenseman.
Somehow power play won.
Number 1 defenseman, Junior.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Thank you for reminding me. By
No
the way.
problem, Nick. I'm here for you.
Although he does play all situations, doesn't put up enough points for me anyway to my criteria. But he used to be.
He put up 50 points.
I know, but if you don't put up a point per game, then if you're gonna play all situations, my criteria for absolute number 1 defenseman is at least 60 points.
Guys, he has averaged 65, 60, 63, 65, 66, 64 power play time percentage, right? He has been number 1 power play guy all the time in this team. Always. So, I mean, like I'm trying to go back all the way to freaking his start. Rookie season, he had 51% of the power play. That was his lowest ever, right? So we're talking about a guy that's always been power play 1, and I kind of think that he's still there because of who he is and not necessarily the talent that he has. Because Brand Clark, who's the other power play defenseman on this team, I think is much more talented offensively.
He is, but he's progressing very slowly, which is something normal in young defensemen, right? So, I think he is the future. I think this year, hopefully, they'll try to...
He's only played 25 games in the NHL.
No, exactly, that's it. So hopefully, this is the year where they're going to bring him in more into the power play and give Drew Doughty a bit more time off the power play. So we'll see. But for Drew Doughty, I don't see him hitting more than 50 points this year.
Yeah, I think he's still going to be PP1 this year.
Yeah.
Because
You
I
think so?
Yeah, because Clark has only played 25 games in the NHL.
If they're struggling, they might throw in Clark there for the first 2 minutes just to see. But I think I think
it's still Doughty's this year, and then next year you're possibly going to see Clark starting to take over. We can't jump the gun on all these rookies that we're excited about.
No, but you would think natural progression, he would get more power play time.
No, natural progression. He plays more than 25 games this year.
I expect him to be more involved in the power play.
Power play 2. Last year he was 38% on the power play 2. 34%.
But
sorry.
In the third quarter of the season, he averaged minute 44 of power play time, and he averaged half a point per game, which was his best. So if they keep that up, then I see him having more of an impact on the team than most people think.
Guess who's back?
Back
Back
again.
again. Darcy's back. Tell
Darcy
a friend.
Kemper.
Darcy Kemper.
What do you mean he's back?
He was with
He was
LA
with LA.
How long ago was that?
Not many games, but I think it was a
come on.
very short time.
You should know your history, Junior.
I'm surprised.
Very short time. I
Why
think
don't
I
you-
know he was with Arizona.
he played. He
he played like
He
10
played-
games, I think.
it's like he played with LA and Arizona split in 2017
Wow.
and 2018.
Franchement,
Yeah, but he's back in LA,
back again.
back again. What do we think about Darcy Kemper? Do we expect a little bit of a bounce back? I mean, he had a horrible year last year. 890 save percentage, 3.31 goals against average. He was 50th in the league in goals saved above expected. These aren't very
He
number one
had-
goaltender numbers.
He hadn't had those kind of numbers since his last year with Arizona. So naturally, I would assume his numbers do get better. I do expect him to go in the goals against average of the 2.5 and save percentages of early 900. Is that great? Not necessarily, but I think like Kemper for Talbot is tit for tat. I think I should expect the same.
Yep. Look, it's a very good defensive team. So
Listen, if this team made Talbot look good, they're going to make Kemper look better. So I think you'll have better numbers than Talbot. I think if you're looking down the middle, Kopitar, Byfield, Dano, that's a hell of a defensive down the middle centerman that you have there, right? So, I mean, compared to who did Washington have? Strome. Nobody knows.
that's
Nobody knows.
Lars Eller.
So yeah,
Lars Eller, hey.
Yeah, I feel Kemper is one of the goalies that could be fantasy relevant this year because LA is still going to play for a playoff spot, and their defensive game is much better than where he was in Washington. So I feel like I said
Zero G strategy,
yeah,
maybe?
yeah, like at the end, like one of the last goals. If you're going with, if in your head you're thinking I'm drafting my goalies last, well, Kemper could be one of these goalies.
I don't think he's a bad pick in Dynasty and cap leagues either. 5.4.
No,
It's not bad. It's not bad. I mean, Dave Riddich really played better than him last year. Dave Riddich had a 921 save percentage, 2.15 goals against average. Goal save above expected, 8th in the league.
do you think Dave Riddich would have had those points playing with Washington?
Look, goals saved above expected is supposed to take away how good your defense
Yeah.
is,
Yeah, I know.
right? I know it still plays some sort of a role,
Mm-hmm.
but yes, I mean, I agree. But do you see more of a 1A, 1B with Kemper's age and Dave Riddich kind of doing good last year?
No, last year they won 54 games with Talbot and 24 with Richie. So
Yeah.
I feel it's going to be the same thing this year, especially if Kemper starts off hot.
Same with the hot hand.
Yeah. No, I think Kemper will have a longer leash than Talbot had.
Okay, let's finish it off with top prospects.
Not many.
Brant Clark, we spoke about him already. They drafted Liam Greentree in the first round this year. I expect Akil Thomas to have a bigger role this year, see where that goes. Goaltending prospect, Eric Portillo. Alex Turcotte, what's happening with him?
He's my guy to watch to see what is happening with him. He was supposed to be the next, up and comer. Hasn't had his opportunity. I think he had a bit of an opportunity last year, at the end of last year. So he'll be interesting because he was drafted top 10, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe so.
So interesting to see. He did the long process. He did the juniors and then he did the AHL for 4 years.
He was in
If I'm not
college,
mistaken.
no? Wasn't
No.
he in college?
No, he left college same time as Caulfield, if I'm not mistaken.
He's only played 32 NHL games in 3 years. So that's the part that I'm a little. He's 23 years old. I think this year he's going to play a full slate of games. He was injured, and he got a couple times injured. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, sorry, Nick, to barge in, but he played 4 years in the AHL so far. 32 games in the AHL, 21 points. 27 games in the AHL, 18 points. 32 games in the AHL, 17 points. 35 games in the AHL last year, 29 points.
How many games are there in the AHL per season?
I'm not sure if he was injured all this time.
But that's what I'm saying is that there's a little bit of a history here. I think a little bit
there
of
82 games in DHL.
yeah, it's a full season, just like
think
the
so.
NHL,
I'm gonna check right now.
right? Am I wrong?
I'm gonna check now. I'm gonna check the standings.
Look, you would have hoped that he would have made a little bit of a jump at least already by now, just to show signs that like he can still be what most expected him to be. I think
72.
I think most people are losing hope already with Turcotte, and I think it's make or break this year for most dynasty fantasy players.
Doesn't it remind you a bit of the Velarde situation?
But Velarde at least was already productive with LA a little bit. In the little time that he played, I think he was showing signs that he was a goal scorer. Just he got injured way too often.
I feel this might be more of a Wallstrom situation,
Wallstrom.
where his time is coming up. Like,
Look at
like-
because not that he's one dimensional. Because
No, no.
Turcotte is
No, no,
more
but
known as a two-way.
where it's his time as being great as a top 10 prospect. Usually, top 10, you want those 70 points is being like acknowledged as that's not happening, and he'll be a better two-way player, another Philippe Dano maybe, or stuff like that.
Oh, look at his teammate, Arthur Kaliev. He's an RFA right now.
And
A lot of people by now would have expected him at least to be a power play guy. Great shooter, goal scorer. Whether it's opportunity, situational, I'm not sure, but
He's
definitely
so one-dimensional.
he's definitely not going to be what most people thought.
They're playing him on the fourth line because he can't defend.
And it's a shame because on PP2 he was actually putting up quite a few points. But
He's a power play specialist.
he's a power play specialist, and they don't survive, especially not on teams like LA in that system.
Well, that's it, exactly. I mean, if you would have taken Kaliev out of LA and put him on Anaheim, I think you would have seen a different point production.
Yeah,
More opportunity.
agreed.
You don't have it here on the list because I'm sure that it was done on purpose. But where did they rank in Dom's?
27th, right here.
He's there. Yeah.
27th
Yeah,
in Dom's model.
Go all the way to the left, Nick.
I am all the way left.
So then,
click on the Dubois because it's 2 lines.
ooh,
All right, 27th in Dom's model. Rid themselves of the Dubois contract. Goalies, tit for tat. Pretty much what everybody said. Janot comes in as a hits guy. Fogley, I don't know. They're both kind of
Look,
downgrades.
they lost
on
Arvidsson and Dubois, and they replaced them with Janot and Fogley.
So,
That's a
look,
downgrade.
They're saying that it's Janot and Fogley are downgrades on Arvidsson and Dubois. I think they're pretty much similar.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
I mean, Dubois really has to show me something this year to show that he was worth that contract, and Arvidsson has to stay healthy for him to be considered as somebody that was good for this team.
Oh, look, Fogley put up 40 points. I think Dubois had 40 points.
are we really still talking about Fogley and Dubois?
Yeah, let's end it here. All right, guys, if you heard something that you don't agree with, please be free to comment on our posts on our YouTube. We are also on Instagram, on Twitter, also known as X. You can find us on all platforms, including Spotify, Apple. Am I missing some?
Don't be afraid to subscribe. It's free.
Please give us a thumbs up and
Thumbs up.
subscribe on YouTube. It's free for you guys, but it makes a big difference for us. So I really appreciate it. And we're here to create discussions.